Hey, what's up guys, it's Tati here with an update video on Artillery Ballista Gemling build. It's been actually a really rough league start for me this time because for the first 4 or 5 days of the league I just couldn't play the game because I didn't have internet connection at all. I was able at least to read feedback from other people playing the build here in YouTube comments and in Totem Discord server. So it's been some valuable information, thank you guys for that. So I started playing only a few days ago. The initial leveling with bow skills with lightning arrow and lightning rods has been really rough. It took me hours and hours and hours to get to level 37 to finally be able to switch it to Artillery Ballista. Even though these lightning rods, the main skill of the initial leveling, was actually buffed in recent patch. They buffed both the damage and duration of the skills, so hopefully leveling with bow skills is not gonna be as rough anymore. But once I switched to Artillery Ballista at level 37, it's been smooth sailing. The build worked out really well. So here I am, level 77, doing tier 7 map, I think, somewhere in the middle of Atlas progression. I actually only a couple hours ago finally was able to find the blue flame bracers, the gloves that converts my fire damage to cold, so you can see me freezing and chilling monsters on screen. It's been a really great upgrade to the build. I still can't find Cloak of Flame to solve my physical damage mitigation, so I'm still spec'd into a little bit of extra armor. Still only on 3 supports, only 4 link, never found any good jeweler orbs. The drops have been pretty rough too. I found here a unique strongbox actually while recording this video. That was pretty nice, but I got some unique spear out of it. So yeah, overall the build works really well. Few adjustments have been made though, so let's talk about them. Let's open PoE real quick. So let's first talk about the changes to passive tree. And it's extremely minor change. So whenever I was leveling, I noticed that after all, we didn't have enough accuracy just from dexterity and precision supports on our buff skill. So I ended up taking Resolute Technique. I also adjusted the leveling trees for that. So we take Resolute Technique pretty early, at level 53 I take it here or so. So the sooner the better, honestly, and we're gonna have Resolute Technique until the very end. I will of course link the updated path of building in the video description here. So yeah, that's pretty much the only change to the tree. So I changed the pathing a little bit, the connections between different skills. I actually also took the Blood Rush because the new pathing allowed to do so. It's worth mentioning that some people playing the builds actually liked taking these nodes that increase cold damage. Over here it's right next to the tree, so they decided to sacrifice either max stress or life regeneration for that. I think it's still nicer to have extra max stress and extra life regen, so I personally did not recommend taking it. But like especially if you play softcore and like you feel like your defenses are okay, sure, go ahead and take this cold nature. Yeah, about the passive tree changes, that's it. Now item changes, quite important addition. So first of all, the crossbow that has +1 to number summoned ballista apparently is inaccessible in game. So the crossbow I was showing initially in the build guides, it actually exists in the game files still. But in-game it's impossible to access that, so we just use actually any crossbow. We want to use lower tier crossbow so that it doesn't have too big of a dexterity requirement, because we try to spec mostly into strength, we don't want high dex requirements. So the damage, like the base of a bow, really doesn't matter. I tested the bolt speed, projectile implicit on crossbow, it seems like it doesn't affect ballista projectile speed, so we don't need this base, and just how much flat damage we get on base also doesn't matter. So we just go for low dex requirements base with these modifiers, right? Like I mentioned in the initial build guides, +7 to projectile skill levels or plus any number. Increase elemental damage with attacks also works for Ballista. So this is the main way to scale Ballista damage. Also, we can get Amulet with +3 projectile skills, right? But how to scale damage besides that? Apparently, the flat damage on rings is also really impactful. So it works for Ballista, but I didn't realize that the amount of damage you can get is that noticeable in comparison to how much flat damage Ballista get per level. So this fire damage to attacks on ring, this is a max roll. Just fire damage alone is already almost the same as having +2 levels to projectile skill. Like in terms of how much extra damage we get, because we can see the Ballista scaling on PvDB website. Can I open it? So here it is, Artillery Ballista, and when we go from level 32 to level 33, we get like 16 to 23 extra damage. So +1 level gives that much damage, and yeah, how much we can get on ring is more than that actually. So we could go for fire damage to attacks and for cold damage to attacks on ring. Like ideally we want to get both. If we get that many flat damage modifiers on both ranks, is going to be actually a huge DPS increase. So here it is. Yeah, another way to scale damage of Ballista has been found. That's pretty good. Also, people suggested using some extra unique items. I think the best option, like in addition to those that we already use in the build, right? So Blue Flame Bracers converts fire damage to cold damage, and Cloak of Flame gives us really good physical damage mitigation. Besides that, we can use Heat Shiver. Here it is on screen. So it has mana, which is good for our mana recovery, mana sustain. It has 2 resistances, which is also really helpful. And then we get extra cold damage, extra fire damage per shield magnitude to an enemy. So if we use Blue Flame Bracers, it's a pretty good combo. That's giving me a solid amount of extra damage. So basically, in comparison to our normal rare helmet, we sacrifice life and strength, right? So like raw defenses, and also get this extra damage, because we're still gonna get mana, we're still gonna get resistance from the unique helmet. So I think it's pretty okay thing to consider using, especially before we get a really good rare helmet. We can use Heat Shiver. Also, some people used Idol of Aldern. It's a unique amulet which has skills +1 limit, so it gives +1 totem we can summon. Yeah, it's pretty decent item to use before we get a really good +3 projectile skills rare amulet. And also, a few people said that they really like using different gloves, not Blue Flame Bracers that convert to cold damage, but this Painter's Servants. So it converts damage to 3 different elements, and also gives a lot of as extra damage. So it's quite a lot of damage, especially on max roll from these 3 modifiers here. But we lower our the amount of cold damage we do, so the amount of chill we're gonna apply is gonna be lower, and freezing will take like longer time against, especially against bigger targets, against big bosses. So I'm personally not really a big fan of using these gloves after all. I would prefer using Blue Flame Bracers and use Heat Shiver than if you want really like to find extra damage to your builds. So yeah, people also with this Painter's Servant, they try to use different Reservation Aura, Trinity buff effect. So the way Trinity works is that you can self-attack. Like, you don't only place Ballista, but you will have to self-attack in order to trigger and get the buff Resonance from Trinity in order to increase Totem's damage. So I personally try to stay away from that, because I like the way, like how simple this build is. We can like just spam Totems and they just kill everything around us. So yeah, I personally don't use it, and don't really recommend going for Trinity with Painter's Servants. But you could consider so, I guess. And also some people use, instead of Blue Flame Bracers, also Valakus Vice gloves, so they convert fire damage to lightning instead of cold. But, so lightning damage, why is it good? Because instead of having useless ignites, we can apply shock, right? So it's a more damage multiplier, basically. When enemy is shocked, it takes increased damage. So we kind of like sacrifice the blue flame bracers where we can apply chill and freeze, you know, to get shock. But I think this also is not so useful because of the fact that we also changed some skills. So let's get to the skills change section. Namely, there is only one change basically. So our buffs, our reservation that we use. So we still use Overwhelming Presence with Vitality and Clarity. We don't use Precision anymore because we have Resolute Technique Keystone, which makes it so that we don't need any accuracy at all. And instead of using Time of Need, which gives us occasional heal and like ailment removal, we use Companion. Quadrilla with haste and all damage shocks. I actually personally was not able to find specifically this companion yet. I will show in a moment how to find one, how to look for one, that is. And people say that this Quadrilla can apply a pretty consistent shocks to enemies. So not only is going to be a shock, it's also we can use the overcharge support, which increases the magnitude of shock. So it's going to be 30% increased damage taken on an enemy. So it's way better this way. So we can still apply freeze and chill with our blue flame bracers, gloves, and our Quadrilla companion will apply massive shock to monsters. We also link it to loyalty support, which makes it so that we take 10% less damage whenever our companion is alive, which is a decent amount of time, even though it dies a lot, but it also resurrects pretty quickly, so it's not too bad. And last gap support make it so that like Quadrilla, even when it dies, it will still be alive for 4 seconds and then it will start reviving. So these are the support gems I'm using. Everything else is pretty much the same, yeah, about the skills. So during leveling, by the way, I also started using Freeze and Salvo. So I was leveling with Lightning Rod, Lightning Arrow, Orb of Storms, and Freeze and Salvo with like another button with cooldown thanks to Hourglass that does some extra damage boost against raiders and bosses. Can recommend. So how do we get this companion Quadrilla? So here I am in game. We need to go to either Act 3 or Act 3 Cruel. We need to go to Jungle Ruins zone and we need to find this Troubled Camp. So you can see it's a Troubled Camp. It's marked in the minimap, and there is a vendor in this camp. So we're in the camp right now. It's really important when you approach the camp, you need to not kill the rare Quadrilla monster that is right next to it. There is a guaranteed Quadrilla spawn, apparently, always in this camp. So there it is. There's Quadrilla. We see the modifiers, extra cold damage, energy shields, aura, explode nearby corpses, periodically unleashes fire. So you can have from 2 to 4 modifiers, and the modifiers we're looking for is haste aura, which will give us 10% movement speed and attack speed. And all damage shocks. All damage shocks in Quadrilla make it so that it's pretty consistently applies shock even to rare monsters and to bosses. So basically it will be attacking the boss and it will apply shock against them, right? It doesn't make us apply shock, the minion itself will apply shock. So I personally couldn't really test it yet, how consistent the shock is, but people who play the builds and give me feedback, they say it's actually really nice. And so yeah, we want Quadrilla because first of all it's quite easy to farm it because there is a guaranteed rare Quadrilla spawn in this zone. And it also has really fast movement speed. Initially I had different companion type, and whenever I was running through the map, it just constantly was behind, and I was constantly running away from the haste aura radius. So I ended up not getting this 10% movement speed boost anymore. And when you have Quadrilla, it's so fast, like at moving, at running, like besides you, that yeah, you always get the buff unless it moves the weight in order to attack monsters. So here how we do it, we need to get the skill that is called Tame Beast initially. It's a level 9 minimum skill. You can use any level because it's going to be possible to increase the level of minion later. It doesn't matter what level Tame Beast is. So we use Tame Beast, we get it on our skill panel. And yeah, so we get to Trouble Camp, we make sure that we do not kill the Ray Monster. So we check the Ray Monster modifiers. So it's the wrong one, we just respawn at checkpoints. So when we respawn at checkpoints, it will create different Quadrilla with different modifiers. This one has Energy Shield Aura, All Damage Ignites, Periodic Lightning Explosion. So again, it's not what we need, and we just respawn again. We do this over and over again until we see Quadrilla with haste and all damage shocks. Instead of all damage shocks, in addition to haste, you can consider doing looking for different modifiers. Like for example, Trail of Lightning, or maybe even Temporal Bubble, or Invulnerability Aura, or like Periodic Invulnerability. Yeah, all damage shocks seems to be nicest in terms of DPS. So let's assume that I found the one we need. So the way we capture this beast is we need to apply this Tame Beast skill to it, like this. And then we just place our totems and let them kill. So I just prefer spamming the skill anyway, like the Tame Beast I'm in. And now it's captured. So we open our skill panel and here it is. So the Tame Beast skill gets changed into Companion Quadrilla. We can mouse over, it says it has Energy Shield or it has all its poisons. So we want to have haste and all damage shocks. So the best one I found so far was Haste Aura and Trail of Ice, and I was using that before I got Blue Frame Bracers, so Quadrilla was applying chill grounds, so chill enemies, so that was pretty nice. After that I was able to find another one with Haste Aura and Trail of Lightning. So Trail of Lightning also applies shock, but not as good of an inconsistent shock as always shocks, or all damage shocks. So that's how we find a companion, and yeah, so now we can just summon it. We right click it, and here it is. We got Monkey with the aura. So this one gives Energy Shield aura. We're supposed to have Haste aura instead. We have, by the way, just enough reservation, because Quadrilla ends up reserving less than 40 spirits. Like by default, we reserve 42.3% spirits. We have 100 spirits. We reserve 60 on Overwhelming Presence with these two support gems. So we have another 40, and with quality from Gemling, Ascendancy, we have enough basically reservations so that I have exactly 0 on reserve spirits, as you can see. So this companion is actually a very nice improvement to the build. That's how you farm it. Again, it can take like 1 or 2 hours even of repeatedly respawning these checkpoints until you get it. But it's a really nice thing to get, so I guess we gotta farm for it. We gotta do that. And the last note is about ascendancies that I wanted to talk about. So yeah, different people try to play these builds on different ascendancy. Another popular one is Smith of Kitava, because I think this also played Artillery Ballista on this ascendancy. So this ascendancy is more defense oriented. It doesn't really give you damage to the build, but it gives way more defenses than Mercenary. So it's obviously a really good option, but for me, like, even I'm playing on hardcore as well, hardcore SSF, and I feel like the playstyle of placing Ballista and being able to be like away from monsters is actually enough of a defense and works really well for me so far. And we still get a little bit of defenses from this Ascendancy too, from Enchanted Effectiveness. We get some flat life from it. So here, for example, I get like 500 flat life when I spec into it. So yeah, Gemling, of course, also allows us to use higher level version of Companion Quadrilla, by the way, because dexterity requirements on this skill is pretty high, but because we don't care about the requirements of skill gems, I also find Gemling pretty nice. But of course, the nicest notes on Gemling is this extra quality to skills and +2 to level of strength skills. So this is a lot of damage to Ballista, and just this quality makes them shoot so much faster that like it feels also just nice to... It feels nice that they attack so frequently. Feels good. And also GGG announced that they will allow us in pretty soon in the next patch, they will allow us to change the ascendancy within the class. And this is actually really important because I think Mercenary class, all 3 ascendancies are actually really interesting to play with Ballista. So on Warrior we can have Smith of Kitava and we can have Titan. I think these 2 ascendancies are pretty nice for Artillery Ballista. Not Warbringer though. But on Mercenary, all 3 ascendancies are legit. So I like this Tactician with Pin. People who play Artillery Ballista with Tactician Pin, they say everything is constantly pinned, and once it becomes unpinned, it becomes frozen, pretty much, so it's really amazing. And then with extra reservation, you can get like some extra buffs, potentially even this Trinity I was talking about before. And maybe some stun threshold and some elemental ailment threshold to get like frozen, shocked less. And also Witch Hunter with these nodes, the concentration with no mercy and the sorcery rewards, I think can be really interesting. So I personally plan, whenever they make the patch, I want to test switch into Tactician first and then also Witch Hunter and see what feels the best. Yeah, I think I still lean towards this Gemling Legionnaire. It felt really nice so far, especially the early progression, the early power we get from the first 2 nodes is really big. But overall, yeah, so like I said, I'm pretty satisfied with the Ascendancy choice. But other Ascendancy also can be played if you want to. I still recommend Gemling. I think that's... I mentioned pretty much all the little changes that I made to the builds. So I would say campaigning Quadrille is the most important change. The support gems for it is also really powerful. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy playing this build as much as I do, and we'll continue having fun playing it. Take care of your totems, and see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.